We're going to read a little more from Leprechaun in Late Winter. Chapter 5, A Fireside Tale. "Hello, Mary," said Augusta. She kissed the old woman on her wrinkled cheek. With the firelight on her face, Mary seemed to glow. Her warm, snug cottage was the opposite of the big house. It smelled of damp leaves and earthen floor and stone walls. Rain dripped through the roof, pinging into a couple of tin buckets. "And who do we have here, Miss Augusta?" Mary asked. "Oh, 2 poor children from town," said Augusta. "I want you to tell them about me, how truly I love the poor and try to help them." Mary smiled. "Oh, please sit down first," she said. Jack and Annie and Augusta sat down on 3 wooden chairs. Would you children like some hot cocoa?" Mary asked. Jack and Annie nodded eagerly. "Yes, please, Mary," said Augusta. "But would you tell them?" "Yes, I'll tell them all about you," Mary said. She picked up a pot sitting on the hearth. She poured steaming cocoa into 3 mugs and handed them to Jack, Annie, and Augusta. The cocoa smelled delicious. Jack took a sip and licked his lips. "Mmm," he said. His insides felt warm for the first time all day. "Now, Mary?" asked Augusta. "In time, me child," Mary said to Augusta. "Tell me what you have been doing today." "I delivered cakes into town," Augusta said proudly. "Then I found these poor children in our kitchen looking for work. I've tried to help them, but they say I am snobby. I brought them here so you could tell them the truth about me." "Ah, I see, Miss Augusta. How did you try to help them?" said Mary. "Oh, I've tried to discover what they're good for," said Augusta, "but it appears they are good for nothing." "Really?" Mary fixed her twinkling eyes on Jack and Annie. "Well, let us start with this, children. Tell me something you like to do." No, wait. Tell me something you love to do." "Ah, well, I love to read," said Jack. "And write," said Annie. "Read and write," said Augusta. "I don't think so." Mary ignored Augusta and kept looking at Jack and Annie. "What do you like to read and write?" asked Mary. "Facts mostly," said Jack. "True stories." "Jack writes facts down all the time," said Annie. "Honestly, Mary," said Augusta. "Soon they'll be telling you they're actors, too, and have performed in a play by William Shakespeare. Can we talk about me now?" "Actually, that's true," said Jack to Mary. "We were in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Annie and I were fairies. I had stage fright, but "William Shakespeare himself?" said Annie. He helped me get over it," said Jack. He looked straight at Augusta. Augusta rolled her eyes. "Will was so nice," said Annie. "And smart," said Jack. "Oh, of course he was," said Mary. "You can tell that from his stories." "Oh, please stop. Don't tell Mary those ridiculous things," Augusta said. "What about me, Mary?" "Wait, child, I have a question for them," Mary said. She leaned forward and spoke in a whisper. "Where is Summer? Can you answer me that?" Mary's question doesn't make sense, Jack thought. "I don't know. Do you know where Summer is, Mary?" asked Annie. "Summer is hiding with the she," said Mary, laughing. "The she? What's that?" said Annie. "Surely you must know the she," said Mary. "That's what we Irish folk call our fairies. In the winter the she steal all the warmth and sunshine, leaving us to suffer with the cold and rain." Annie laughed too. "So you played the parts of fairies in a play by Shakespeare," said Mary. "They're just like our she. Have you seen the she here in Ireland?" "Mary," Augusta said impatiently. "Not yet," said Annie. "That's a shame," said Mary. "I have seen them. This is a true story." She looked at Jack and smiled. "With facts, you might want to write them down." Oh, sure," said Jack. He pulled out his notebook and pencil out of his pocket. Augusta looked surprised. Mary leaned close to Jack and Annie again. Her eyes were shining. Her voice was hushed. "One day, long ago, a lonely girl took a walk in an old forest," said Mary, "and was still until joyful music began coming from a hidden world." Jack loved Mary's way of telling a story. He wrote down, "Old forest, all still, joyful music, hidden world." Augusta frowned. "So I guess you can write," she muttered. "Suddenly there came a spinning wind," said Mary, "and a cloud so bright, and a beam of light poured over a river." Jack quickly wrote, "Spinning wind, bright cloud, beam of light, river." Then they came rumbling and thundering, exclaimed Mary. Mary said Augusta. She sounded impatient, but Mary was talking. Some with wings, some on horses of white, kings and queens in robes and gowns of the colors of summer, fall, winter, and spring. Jack wrote, some with wings, white horses, queens, kings. They galloped in a circle, a blinding swirl, said Mary. They swept up that lonely girl and carried her across the river to their secret hollow hill. And she had gone inside. She would have become very small and seen many wondrous sights. Jack wrote, take a lonely girl, hollow of the she, wondrous sights. Jack looked up from his notebook, waiting for Mary to go on. When she spoke again, her voice was very soft. But the girl grew afraid and ran home instead. Mary sat back in her chair and closed her eyes. The only sound in the cottage was the crackling of the fire and the pinging of rain into the tin buckets. Mary, Annie said softly, are you the girl in the story? Mary opened her eyes. I will never tell, she said. Oh, Mary, said Augusta, such tales. She turned to Jack and Annie. Mary still believes in the impossible. I surely do, said Mary. Every night I leave a bit of milk on my windowsill for the she. I leave crumbs at my door. They eat them, too. Mary, the birds eat the crumbs, said Augusta. Yes, the birds are hungry also, said Mary, but the she pick over the crumbs first. At twilight they steal across the river from their hidden hollow hills. Just ask the old fishermen of County Galway. Ask the farmers and the nursemaids. Augusta shook her head sadly. Mary, only simple-minded folks still believe in such things, she said. Educated people know what is true and what is not. No, child, said Mary. They only know what they think is true. Augusta straightened her shoulders. Well, we should be going now, Mary, she said. So could you please tell these children the truth about me now? Yes, said Mary. She turned to Jack and Annie. Do you children have names? Jack smiled. This was the first time today anyone had asked them their names. Yes, our names are Jack and Annie, said Annie. Well, Jack and Annie, thank you for coming to visit me today. I can tell that you are very special, said Mary. What about me, Mary? Augusta asked. Am I special? Yes, child, you are, said Mary. She turned to Jack and Annie. Augusta is special too, but in a different way. How am I different? asked Augusta. You try very hard to be good, and you are very smart, but you... Mary stopped. Mary, I what? said Augusta. You are not happy, said Mary, and that breaks my heart. Augusta's eyes filled with tears. Oh, Augusta, don't cry, said Annie. She reached out to take Augusta's hand, but the girl stepped back. Augusta wiped her eyes. That's silly. I'm happy enough. I know I've never seen the she, and I never will, but I don't care anymore. And if you like these miserable children more than me, Mary, well, that's fine. Augusta ran to the door and opened it. The damp air swept inside as she rushed out of the cottage. Through the open door, Jack and Annie could see Augusta's red cape flying behind her. And that's the end of chapter 5.